Hello, welcome everybody to this new episode of our podcasts. My name is Mohannad. I am a team lead at 𝗵𝗺, and I hope if you are listening today, you are into leadership. I have with me my colleagues, they will introduce themselves later, Vlad, Suresh, and Paulo. And we are all engineers at 𝗵𝗺, and I hope you enjoy our podcast today.
Welcome to the podcast for product engineers.
Let's do a quick intro if you don't mind it. Maybe Vlad, you can go first.
Woohoo! Thank you for having me, Mohannad. I'm Vlad Crișan. I'm from Romania, work remotely from Timișoara for 𝗵𝗺. I'm a tech lead at a team called 𝗵𝗺. And I'm going on 4 years now and counting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Suresh, what about you?
Thank you. So, I'm Suresh, originally from India. Right now living in Cologne for more than 3 years. And with 𝗵𝗺 as well, it's a bit more than 3 years. So, I'm here, team lead of Team Raven. So, we are focusing majorly into data and AI side of the platform. So, how about you, Paulo?
I'm Paulo. I'm Portuguese, based in Lisbon. I've been working with 𝗵𝗺 for the last 3 years. I'm a team lead in a team that is called 𝗺, and we are responsible for topics related with pricing. So we like to say that we are responsible for the e-commerce part of 𝗵𝗺.
Nice. Thank you all. I would like actually to start by keeping it simple. So maybe I ask you, Vlad.
Sure.
Can you tell us, as a tech lead, how do you manage your team?
Very interesting question. Yeah, I will guess the short answer is you don't. A tech lead doesn't. Yeah, just simply because our tech lead position, tech lead role at 𝗵𝗺, is not necessarily conventional. I mean, it used to be, and 𝗵𝗺 has went through certain transition during the time that we've been here. But certainly lately, with the product engineer mindset that we're cultivating and growing in our culture and everything like that, we have discovered that it's more important to empower our people, and especially don't stop, but actually empower more anyone that wants to grow in certain aspects, tech leads or principals or anything like that. But even a normal engineer shouldn't be just normal with doing codes. I mean, it depends what you understand by normal, but we do value and empower our engineers to drive. They shouldn't be just normal engineers. I mean, not being leaders necessarily. They can drive by themselves. They can start picking up attributes that technical leaders have. And that ultimately means that the technical leader's job may become obsolete. And that's not a bad thing, in my opinion. I think there also is a saying, right? If you do your job good enough, it might become obsolete. And that's the perfect, you're doing something right there, right?
I see. So when asking about how you manage the team, you say you don't really do that much empowering others, but maybe in a nutshell, is it working for you from your perspective, maybe?
Good question. In 𝗵𝗺, as much as I do, that every team works differently. And for us in 𝗵𝗺, it definitely has. Empowering people and showing that, hey, if you're doing my job better than me, you can actually take my job, or I encourage you for us to be complementary and grow in our skill set and just evolve from this point forward.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe Paulo, do you see it the same perspective from your end, or how do you do it?
I agree with Vlad, yeah. I think we are not responsible only for the things we are in charge, but also for the people, and that an important thing and also difficult because all our engineers are different. And I try to not care only about their results, their performance, but also about the human being, and try to understand if they are well in their personal lives, because if they are, they can act on their natural best. And that's the thing that I try to do.
All right, Suresh.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of them. And one thing I would like to add is with Vlad, as he said, it's more about delegating and decentralizing the responsibilities. So it's going to be obvious that we end up being more hands-on as a tech lead, not like a typical manager. So that's what we wanted to avoid at 𝗵𝗺. So like people can take up the responsibilities and like, be the own individual leaders in terms of driving the specific topic or like, the mission which empowers the business and the company. So I think that's one of the key value which we follow, and it works out pretty well. So, and that's like, one of our key thing, right? So we have really good like, senior product engineers. So, and we believe in it. So yeah, that's
all right. Maybe like code like product engineer. Can you maybe define it quickly, Suresh? Like how do you define that product engineer?
Yeah,
what do you
like,
mean?
ideally like an engineer is not, especially if it's a software engineer, so it's not someone like who just writes code. Like, so we really don't want some like, code monkeys like who just like, believe in writing some tech thing. So it's more about like, putting customer first and thinking from the customer's eyes how this is going to be like, impactful for them. What is the real problem? And like whenever you start working on something, just answer like what, why, and who. Like, what is the problem? What are we trying to solve? And why are we solving this? So is it really a priority thing? And like, for whom we are solving it? So if we answer these things, like, and if we arriving at a proper like, destination, then I think that's a mindset like we would like to like, have our engineers to build the product in a right way. So yeah.
I see. So it's more like you are asking the engineer to join a little bit into the business side, understand how the business goes.
Yeah, of course.
The pains of the customers directly. Then maybe like back to you, Vlad. You spoke about how you don't want to manage, but maybe can you take us a little bit deeper? What do you mean, like as in terms of rituals, or how do you do it? Because after all, you're still a lead. You are leading others. So
yeah. Again, nice question. I don't want to manage. No, joking. Sure. So management definitely is a part of it, but as we have teams in 𝗵𝗺, it's not just a technical lead. We have managers as well, project managers. And they are managing the project. And then the tech lead is not necessarily so starting out with what we believe as a tech lead, that the tech lead should be in the trenches. That's what we believe.
Interesting.
Yes, pushing and also delivering and also being an individual contributor. Now, naturally, and in reality, you cannot achieve everything. You cannot have the cake and eat it, as what one saying goes, right? So you are not necessarily sacrificing, but you have other responsibilities as well. So you need to manage to a certain extent, but you would want to keep it as a minimum, or at least that's what we try in Alpha, right? We want to minimize our rituals. We do work agile. We do work very open, very discussing everything. I do expect all of my colleagues. It's not just a one-man show or a one-man decides everything. Oh, we're going to just work on this. We should work on this. Yes, we should work on certain things, but I expect every colleague as well as me what the priorities are, what we're going to push and how important it is and why it's important to push in certain areas. That builds on that product engineer mindset that you asked Suresh about, which is empowering our engineers to think more as leaders and think more as a product. And interestingly enough, by the way, small mention, our director of engineering, right? Viljami wrote a book about Product Engineer Manifesto, a small ebook. I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. And it's a good way of starting into this mindset. But and explaining it, and I want to say about the new idea of a delivery lead that we have now floating, which is every engineer should be a delivery lead, because you're delivering at the end of the day. It could be as small as one feature or project, but it can grow very big, and it shouldn't be just under the tech leads umbrella or the team's umbrella. Every engineer can do that.
Okay, Suresh, is it same situation at your team?
Exactly. So
then maybe like if you simulate it to me, I'm a dev working for you. How do you manage it?
Yeah, we are pretty relatively new team, like a small team as well. So right now we have 3 engineers, but 2 weeks ago it was 2 engineers, and one of the examples is we recently shipped our first AI feature in the platform, and for that one of the engineer, part of my team, Kerem, he was a delivery lead, and I was supporting him throughout the feature. So
if I were Karim, what would I be going through, like at your team, like in terms of rituals? How do you, as a lead, again, you instruct me to do what I'm supposed to do?
No,
how do you draw barriers for me and so on?
It comes from the engineer, like the individual engineer who's a delivery lead. Like the first step is we believe in transparency, and we have this RFC culture. So whenever you have an idea, like it's always show, don't tell. You write an RFC, push it out, and like you get the feedbacks. And of course, like entire team is going to like share their opinion and feedbacks. Then like start like the kickoff. If all goes well, then that's how we get the feature started. And of course, like on the way, like we have the first MVP as a target. Like we estimate like or like we have a clear idea like what we need to do for the first MVP to deliver it to the customers, like to the specific target segment, and then we start working on it. So with always more than one engineer in a feature, so that'll be a delivery lead, and that'll be like 1 or 2 engineers supporting him, so to avoid this like silo knowledge thing. So
I understand what you mean. So in principle, you got like senior engineers joining your team. You are encouraging them to be product engineer. This means they are already exposed to the business, they got some ideas and so on. Maybe Paulo, while that can be interested maybe for some of the personnel that you have, but how do you see also the interactions with the product manager? Because I think they are still really important.
Yeah, they are really important, of course. We want to have product engineers, but we are still engineers. We have to produce code. We have to build the product. And in the end, we can't meet like 10 customers. We can't spend our entire day in meetings collecting the requirements. So that's what the product managers do with us. They have a bigger vision on what we need to deliver. They have a lot of contact with customers, and that's why I still believe that product engineers will not replace the product managers. It's a matter of they have more focus on defining the product. One thing that we don't have the time to do.
Mohannad, maybe a question from my side, because you're also tech lead, right? And obviously, and you drive 𝗵𝗶, a very important team at 𝗵pilot that is in charge of the journeys and getting that information into the 𝗵pilot platform. I'm curious from your side, what does your team rituals usually look like? And it's funny enough, we don't know, I mean, we know of each other's teams and how other teams are doing it, but we're not that close to it. So I'm interested in your take.
Yeah, so maybe for the audience to know, we like to have kind of independence per team. So we have autonomy on how we want to manage it. We are interested to do it. If the audience are interested, we have published all our principles to GitHub. Personally, I find it really interesting how it's written, and it's worth looking at it. At our team 𝗵𝗶, we are working on like Agile, perhaps it's more like Scrum format. On weekly basis, we are discussing what priorities we have, and the meetings are limited perhaps only to 3 per week, and they are really short. We got recently into having quarter planning. The quarter planning, while it seems like planning as if somebody is pushing a topic, in fact, this is more like an interview with the product manager. Our colleague Christina is doing a really good job, but at the same time, I keep asking the devs, hey guys, this is your chance, ask the questions. Because I want the product manager to justify it also in monetary numbers. Why certain feature is more important than the others. And usually the conversation is managed in a way that we find some developers kind of calling dibs into certain topics they feel that they are passionate about, but also this is their chance to add additional topics they think that might actually add something. Of course, anytime that you want to add something new, we have the culture of never blocking you. You have the chance to write an RFC to attract the attention of other engineers, and probably even do like small POC where you are explaining quickly how you want to do it and so on. So what we derive from that, as you said, like the culture of delivery engineers. You are a delivery engineer for certain initiative or a topic. This means that you are entrusted with leading it and discussing it with the product manager, designers, and so on. I am available as a team lead, but I have very light touch as much as possible. I'm just like there making sure that nothing totally is or drastic is made. But I try to be as light as possible. In fact, I think from my perspective, I'm empowering them, like bringing resources, because sometimes they have like 90% of the competency of building certain feature. They are lacking 10%. So finding someone who can pair into that topic, I think this is something important for me. Of course, you said that we are extremely hands-on. So even as a team lead, much like any other engineer, I take ownership of some topics, also end-to-end, where I have to do the same rituals like any one other engineer at the team.
Where you are the driver,
Exactly. And I consider it kind of like mentoring the engineers. Like you have to show them the way forward. Again, we keep iterating into the mindset of product engineer and senior engineers working among us, yet I think we have to repeatedly keep showing the way forward and to keep it as a culture. Speaking about mentoring, Suresh, how do you do it with your delivery engineers? What do you do?
Yeah, I think, one of the things like we believe is like always to lead by example. So like, it's not just about the team lead. Also, we expect it from other engineers as well, like, be it delivery leads or like any engineer at 𝗵𝗺. So we want them to like, have this like principle, like show don't tell, or like lead by example. So it's not like, explicitly we will be mentoring the engineers, like rather we just like, show them the way, like how by doing things hands-on, and that's how I think it works well with the team. And also we do more mob sessions together with the team, and that helps us like in terms of like, bridging the gap in terms of knowledge, or like, when a new engineer joins 𝗵𝗺, in onboarding into the code base, and also like for the business side and getting to know like, the core areas of the platform, because we are relatively like, big platform, like there are different pieces like with different teams. So like more mob sessions helps like people to like get to know the code base and business much better. I think that's how we do it. So it's not something that is an explicit thing we need to mentor, or like we don't like put more amount of time in that specifically. Rather it just happens as a side effect of day-to-day working.
That's not what you mean. So it's more like you are not treating the engineers as kids. You treat them as adults, and mob sessions, which is interesting. Maybe Vlad, you have something to add here?
Sure. For me, the big one is being in the trenches, right? When I think of leadership, it's that image that I think it's also a meme, if I'm not mistaken, but it's very, very true. It's you have an image of a leader which is behind the pack, going forward and saying to the pack, go left, go right, but he's behind it, right? The pack is in front. Or you have the same image, but this time the leader is in front of the pack and saying, we're going to go forward, we're going to go right, everyone come after me, right? And the idea is that the road is a hard road ahead, right? So the difficult decision or the difficult road is taken first by the leader, right? The leader always eats last. That's another saying that for me resonates a huge lot, right? Similar to the one in the trenches. So mentoring, coming back to mentoring, there's no way around it. You are doing it a little bit, but we're definitely not doing it the normal sense of it, right? We're more, as Suresh said, with the mob sessions, show by example. We're mentoring by, hey, here's how things are done. Come join me. Let's do it together. You're going to learn by looking at me. You're going to learn by looking at your colleagues. We're going to do it together. And that is basically for us mentoring. Because we believe other types of mentoring, I mean, every approach has pluses and minuses, right? But that potentially for us could be harmful. If you're holding hands too much, if you're helping men too much, and even in every areas of life, right? When people have intrinsic motivation and it starts from them by viewing someone and not getting help all the time. Think about all your skills in life. Maybe the most effective skills that you have been developed by your internal desire, and not necessarily someone waking you every day in the morning, hey, let me show you this, let me show you that, let me show you how it's done, let me show you how it's done. You go to that expert and say, not necessarily explain it to me, but I'm going to look at you. I'm gonna learn from that. It's intrinsic motivation. It's self-mentoring, self-growing. It's stuff like that. And we try to help our colleagues and every engineer that we have in every aspect that we can and grow together.
Interesting. But how do you keep your engineers then motivated? Because you say it like they are motivated to do it. They want to take the initiative more than actually you pushing it to do it. So how do you do that?
In my opinion, one word: culture. That culture is kind of addictive. It is a little bit very energized and energetic, I want to say, and we're energizing itself. You know, there's that saying also, show me 5 of your best friends, the people who hang around, and I kind of sort of have an idea of how you are. So we motivate each other. Now, naturally, this is one aspect, interesting aspect as a tech lead, I believe, could fall under the umbrella of mentoring and taking care of your colleagues, which is if you see a colleague that is maybe at the beginning of the road, maybe he doesn't, right? He recently joined, he doesn't know the culture that much. You help him. You see him probably a little bit demotivated. He's demotivated because he isn't catching up as fast, or maybe the coding, his craft isn't as it should be for him, for his perspective. You want to help him, right? And you can take care of that. You can mentor that, right? You motivate it. But the best motivation, being in the group, doing the work, right? Remember when we were kids, we were on camps and everybody was having fun. It felt like, I cannot have fun. I think I'm going to have fun with everyone. And that fun is contagious. So that's the biggest motivator, at least inside our team. And we rejoice in it and we celebrate it every time. And it's part of the craft.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I always found it a little bit difficult with the remote culture. Of course, 𝗵𝗺 has developers all around the world, from India all the way to Spain and Portugal. The thing is, I always found it difficult to keep people motivating, feeling the team spirit, especially those black years of Corona. But yeah, can you maybe talk us a little bit more into the motivation, keeping the team spirit high, maybe from your perspective, Paulo?
Yeah, I always try to set ambitious goals, but also reachable goals for all team members. So they don't motivate when they have a big challenge that they can't achieve. I also try to promote a positive environment in our team, so everyone has the space to raise questions, to give suggestions. I also try to appraise when someone does something good in the team and can reach the goals that we set before. And I also try to give ownership on topics for all of them. So as we mentioned before, we try to make our teammates responsible for their deliveries. So we are not the ones getting everything and planning everything. And that's one thing that we can, or that I do, to make them or to keep them motivated.
All right. So from your perspective, giving them compliments when they are doing it correctly, assisting them and pushing them forward is motivating them. Suresh, I think your team is working on AI. Is that by itself, like as a topic, now as a trendy topic on the market, enough to motivate people to jump on it? Or
Yeah, I think that's kind of the trendy thing, like, it has been, especially after like the Gen AI wave. So it has been like, one of the like interesting topics or areas to focus on. But like, when I joined 𝗵𝗺 3 years ago, in the first one-on-one with William, so he was asking, what do you want to do at 𝗵𝗺? So I told him the other day, like, I want to like, start working on the data and drive the data side of like, 𝗵𝗺. And we were just like very early on building the 360 platform. So yeah, now I think this is the right time for stepping up and driving that side. So yeah, that's how Raven born. But like talking about like, the motivation factor, it's like, the culture, as Vlad said, like, people like whom we work with, so they all inspire us, and like, we get to learn like new things every day, or like, as part of the work thing. So that's one thing like which keeps us motivated, because we spend most of the days day time like, here at the office or at the work. So yeah, and also like, you have a flat hierarchy here. There are no process or like, some like conventional stereotypical like, the hierarchies here at the 𝗵𝗺. So you have the freedom and full responsibility to like drive new like topics or like, new ideas. So yeah, that's one motivational thing, at least for me, and like, to the engineers whom I have worked with.
I see. Anyways, back to the culture, because it seems like very important, and this is how you are justifying, or like you are trying to motivate people. 𝗍𝗵𝗂 currently is growing and scaling up. How do you think like this is going to affect you? The challenges that you expect, like with the new incoming devs joining your team, fitting them into the culture and so on.
I think it's part of the company's journey, right? So like when you're a startup, like we work, or like we have a strategy to like, work in that way. And like when we go to the stage of scale up, and then like when we grow as years like, pass, so like we change the strategy, the way like we work on stuff as well. So only thing like, which we believe is in hiring the right people, like, who like, resonates with the culture of 𝗍𝗵𝗂, be it like, the company's culture or like even the engineering principles. So I think that's really important for us. And that's one of the reasons why we are able to like, efficiently manage by even in the scale-up phase.
As part of the staffing process, you make sure that whoever is joining us is a good fit for the culture.
Yeah, and also another thing, like as we grow, we change, or like we evolve ourselves as well. Like, if you ask me 2 years before, like we believed that like, our team shouldn't have more than 3 or 4 engineers. So we were believing in smaller teams, but now that like we are growing fast, and like, we have the complete perspective change, like how we want to look at the product, platform, and the business. So we wanted to like, we are still like figuring out the right way in terms of like arriving at the team structures, but we are constantly evolving. We are like learning from the past and trying to adapt to the future as well. So I think that keeps the like culture part alive as we scale up as well.
Okay.
And there's definitely a challenge for a technical lead, especially a technical lead's role, right? It should be it is a technical lead, it's a team. But as Suresh said, it used to be, we favored 3 or 4 engineers.
Yeah.
Now we can find ourselves with 6 engineers, 7 engineers, and you need to level up, right? And number of topics are also growing. So that's why I think the product engineer mindset and the delivery lead mindset, which is not isolated to the tech lead or a team, but rather to every engineer, is super crucial and important. And that's why you don't lose control. It's a certain game in small numbers. It's a certain game in bigger numbers. So it's definitely a challenge. Yeah.
I see it. And how do you deal with it at Team Alpha? Like newcomers is joining you, how do you make sure that they are well prepared, integrated quickly into the company?
And so it all starts, as Suresh said, from the interview process, and when we find new people, and most of the time people find us, so people see our culture and they come to us, so they need to resonate to our culture more or less a little bit. And I think that's natural and normal. Why would someone that doesn't like the culture work here, and why would we accept someone that I don't know, it's totally opposed for our culture? But in Team Alpha specifically, we have I would say a high number of topics. We manage, there have been low times and high times in which you juggle both topics, and you need to cater to some more than others based on priority, based on demand, based on customer importance, customer satisfaction, so on and so forth. And then when new people come in, you want to onboard them as quickly as possible. And again, it boils down to the culture. It boils down to the culture, to working in trenches together. And you want to multiply that, because at the end of the day, and I love that saying, Szilárd actually came up first with that saying, which is technical leaders and other important players in the company should be multipliers. You multiply that culture, you multiply that mindset, you multiply that work ethic, right? And then eventually everybody's going to be a multiplier, not just the tech leads, not just the principals or every engineer, because we all need to show ourselves, and we all have our pluses and minuses, strengths and weaknesses, but we want to multiply the strengths, we want to minimize the weaknesses, and we want to, again, our principles, show, don't tell, and work in the trenches. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What do you think, though? Because I want to give you the opportunity to say as well, especially in 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗃, because 𝗍𝗍𝗃 is a fairly big team. What's the number now?
We are 6 developers
6,
at the moment.
there you go. Top of the line, yeah.
So as you said, like during the staffing process, we kind of try to filter out people and try to make sure that whoever is gonna come is gonna be a good fit. Not everybody gonna share the same culture, but they will adapt to it. Usually new junior, we draft like 30 days plan or 90 days plan. In my mind, 30 days the user should, the new dev should be able to know about the product and the actual engineering product that we work on. He or she will have like a buddy that they can do mob sessions together.
Okay.
So for the first time being, maybe you call it inefficient, but it's more like now I'm dragging someone to guide this new developer through. And then in my mind, maybe a good feeling would happen like around the 30 days where I think that person learned something. So I try to discuss with them maybe the next topics that they can work on. Probably it's going to be something simple, but it would be end to end.
Yeah.
They have to own it in full. Talk to designers, to the product manager, reason it. Even I suggest speaking to the CEO right away. The culture of no gates are closed here. So even understand it from the CEO perspective. And based on that, later bigger topics come. So the newcomer would be like, I would say, perfect fit in the first 4 months or so, unless something bad happens. But we do our best because actually we want you to succeed as a developer. So I think this is one of my things as well, or my responsibilities as a team lead as well. To make you succeed.
Yeah, beautiful.
Maybe then I go back into like a term that you said during good time and hard times.
Sure.
And maybe I direct it to you, and perhaps Paulo can share a little bit there. How do you maneuver the hard times? I know like we are a startup. Sometimes we have good topics. Maybe they are defined, maybe they are not. At the same time, your input as engineer is really important in how you want to shape the product. So how do you deal with those pressuring times? Again, like maybe Paulo or Vlad.
Yeah, Paulo, you want to take it?
Yeah, I can take it. So I always try to protect the team from that pressure that you mentioned, coming from our management, from our product team to deliver something real quick. Because I think one of our missions is to get good deliveries from our team in a sustainable way. So it doesn't make sense to force them to work at a crazy speed if we are compromising the quality and the stability of our platform. It's also not nice to expect that our engineers do the extra mile every day to accomplish the missions that we have, because that's not healthy for our engineers, for their mental health, and that's why I try to protect them from that things. I always try to keep the pressure on me and negotiate the deadlines with the product managers, and they then have to manage.
But when you say you are protecting them, like I understood that you have product engineers, delivery leaders, and you mean like as in protecting, like you are trying to reduce the scope, or this is their job actually to check it, learn it, and discuss it themselves?
Yeah, usually I try to reduce the scope with them. Usually when there are those kind of difficult discussions with the product team, they sometimes, or most of the times, they do it directly with me. If we need something more specific, something that I don't know, I try to sync with them, but usually I try to avoid that.
All right, Vlad, from your perspective, maneuvering hard times, pressuring times, a lot of demands, or unclear even sometimes.
Obviously, for us, I think the biggest one gate in which hard times are coming in Team Alpha is number of topics, especially when all of them are super important. They need to be delivered yesterday, and they those hard times sync together with bugs or other problems as well, and you don't know which way to go first. So normally in our team, being so close together and connected is, if it's hard for someone, it will be hard for everyone, and especially if someone is a little bit more or less isolated on a topic, and other ones are more chill, we notice it really quick, and we want to jump. Naturally, we're all humans. We all react differently to stressful situations. Some of us have high tolerance to stress. Some of us have low tolerance to stress. But low tolerance to stress doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, right? Those people could be super efficient when things are calm and they can achieve twice as much. We all sort of complement each other. I'm a big advocate of team synergy, which means you work best and together and you complement each other. You can still have the same skill set. It's optimal to, sure, if it's a big challenge that requires the same skill set, you can multiply it and double it and triple it and whatever. But usually we try to approach a problem and then complement each other and tackle different parts of the area together so we can achieve it. Divide and conquer, basically. But yeah, to answer your question more clearly, we help each other. We help each other a lot. And work, as always, sometimes is more linear, sometimes it's more easy, sometimes it's more difficult. And when it's difficult, we need to face the music. We ramp up a little bit more. Maybe we stay longer hours. We put in the work because at the end of the day, we need to proper assess priority and criticality. And when the criticality and priority is high, we're going to do that. And fun fact, we're not just going to do it inside a team, and we're not isolated. There has been situation, and there always will be, when I'm reaching out to you guys and I'm reaching out to other colleagues that have more scope and have more capacity. I believe in balance. I don't think balance will always be the case, but maybe it's something to manage. And you need good days, you need bad days, you need to manage those bad days, and that's how you stay afloat, I would say. And even
I
excel.
understand what you mean. In my mind, actually, I find agility is really important. And for me, the way that I define it, that I want to challenge the developer thinking about what he or she can deliver as artifact, end of the week or end of 2 weeks, maybe. And probably most of the times, like when we say hard times, I find I can split it into probably milestones. Because with agility, we gain also quick feedback. Maybe investing too much and then later discovering that this is not what the customer wants is wrong one. So by mentoring the developers to sticking into thinking I understand the big problem, but then what I can deliver now in chunks that can be used immediately. And I think this is really important to also make it easier for the developer seeing their work life maybe, or being tested by some beta testers. Suresh, do you have anything to add there?
I think I agree majorly with Vlad here, in terms of the team synergy. So of course, that's one of the key things I see part of the team. And I mean, since 𝗿𝗏 is a new team, and most of the topics we have are pretty greenfield, are new topics in the platform. And for us, to identify the right thing, and also to see to avoid this burnouts, right, within the team for the engineers. One thing we always focus is we avoid the parallel topics. We don't want to be we wanted to be ambitious, but which is not at the cost of burning out. So the things which can be achieved, so that's what we take in account. And avoiding too many parallel topics, having a clear focus on one single thing, getting it done together as a team. I mean, since we are relatively small team, it works out fine at this moment. As we grow and scale, we might need to follow the similar strategy how Alpha does. So having a different delivery leads for different topics, but not more than 2 or 3 at a time. If the team is relatively big, and always having a pairing buddy, not letting the engineers to be silo, which might be one of the reasons for getting overwhelmed or getting burned out. So that helps us.
Understood. Maybe if I shift into different topic, I understood now from you guys how you deal in your position as leaders of team, but how about your relations together? Team leads to team leads, dealing with management and so on. Maybe I start from you again, Suresh.
I think it works pretty well as well. Our head of engineering always say that despite having different microservices, different teams focusing on different topics, we want to use product as a single monolith. So at the end of the day, it's always about the end-to-end use case for the customers, not considering it as an alpha topic or Tauro topic or 𝗿𝗏. And we do have some cross collaboration between the teams, taking a how we collaborated with Alpha in terms of bringing the workflow metrics into the dashboard. So it was Like, we
I
call
see.
that as a task force. And even with eRubic recently, like we wanted to bring in analytics into our end customer journeys. So yeah, that way, like we collaborate with the different teams. And also, we do have weekly sync with the leads to discuss about like the progress and like the challenges we face, and like to get what's happening within the teams. So we can all be aligned towards like the vision of our product and the business. So yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, maybe Vlad, do you have something to add?
No, I think you described it very, very perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're at the heart of it. We're all on the same boat. Every company knows this. Everyone knows this. And if the boat starts taking water, we're all on it. I think the best example for that is the incident. Usually, right? The incident are not team bounded. They don't have team boundaries, and it's all hands on deck.
Yeah,
always. Yeah. And to improve on the tech lead. Yeah, we talk to each other a lot. We spar to each other a lot. You know this. We have the tech lead meeting every week just because of overview. Sometimes we want to protect our coding time for our engineers, and then we just relay our message. But again, it's not just limited to us. Any engineer can join that. Any engineer can be a technical leader before being called a technical leader, and that's one of the awesome things I think I like most in 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀. First, act the position, act the role, and you'll definitely be acknowledged for it. And that thing is, I think, the best way of doing things, rather than the reverse, which usually normally is, which is I'm going to point you as a technical leader, or I'm going to point you as a delivery lead. No, step up yourself, and that shows right off the bat. You have courage, you have willingness to do something, you have intention, and that definitely satisfies a lot of people for that.
Interesting. Paulo, like I noticed that the relationship among the personnel here at 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀, it seems really nice between probably the team leads, the management, and so on. We are now even making this podcast here in Cologne, Germany, where all the colleagues gathered from all around the world here to enjoy a couple of days. Luckily, it's sunny Cologne today. So how do you view it?
Yeah, I agree with what Suresh and Vlad said. One thing that I see in 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀 that I never saw in companies where I worked before is the fact that our engineers work a lot with engineers from other teams. We all collaborate, even though we are not collaborating in our own squad. And that's one thing that is really interesting, and that's one of the things that makes me like 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀. We are always here to help the other colleagues, and we don't have kind of silos inside of the teams.
I like that. Maybe we can wrap it around what do you like about 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀, Vlad?
Ooh, what I don't like about 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀.
You like, not don't like.
Yeah, no,
Right.
there's I would say 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀 is not a perfect company. There's no such thing as perfection. But if I would have to rate it, I would say 95% is just good stuff, which is a huge number in my opinion and in my experience. So there's a lot of awesome stuff. I would start by the openness, right? We don't limit you in any way. We give you freedom, and that's the most fantastic thing for me. Sometimes you can go in different contexts and say, oh, I didn't achieve it because of that. Oh, I had freedom, but the last two things, like, slowed down my progress and I couldn't do exactly how I wanted. In 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀, I think it's the best scenario you can have, in my experience and in my personal opinion, that you cannot have that excuse. You have the freedom, you have the colleagues, you have the know-how, you have the freedom of expression, everything. And if you fail at the end, or it doesn't work as you envisioned in the beginning, you can actually reflect more and say, and be more humble and say, I think it's mostly on me. I think, and it's great because you finally can view yourself more and can acknowledge, like, hey, I need to improve on this, and it will make me a better engineer, a better coder, a better person. And you see your areas of improvement more. Now, it's not to say that, again, 𝗵𝗵𝗳𝗀𝗀 is not a perfect company, as there's no such thing. So obviously there's things to improve and to talk about. And one other thing, last thing that goes hand in hand with this one, is also the adaptiveness that this company has. You see something not working, you prove that it's not working, or you highlight it and we discuss about it. Oh, we're going to change it. We're going to change it. We actually encourage that. Come in, show us what we're doing wrong, and I'll change my ways. And that's one of the core things I do as a technical leader as well. I get one person in. I don't care if his whatever his level of seniority is or his expertise. If he comes in and he shows me a better way, I will say, I don't care. I'm a technical lead. I can be even the director of engineering. I love you. Let's do it the most easiest way, more pragmatic way, and it's working.
Yeah, I see you, Suresh, nodding a lot your head, agreeing with what Vlad is saying.
We're in
What's your
agreement,
take?
right?
What do you love about 𝗵𝗺?
I would keep my answer very short. Like, I mean, pretty much he summed it up. Like, for me, mostly it's a culture, like, which includes like freedom and the responsibility, and also the openness, the feedback, right? So that's like, one of the things I really value for like, making myself better like every day, and also for like, being like the better version of me for the business and the company. So I think, that's the 𝗵𝗺 for me.
Paulo?
Yeah, for me, the thing that I like the most is the fact that we are important in the decision making. We don't have like a big hierarchy. We don't have someone that says we will do ABC just because. We are part of the decision, and I think it's really good. And as I said, the most important thing for me here.
All right.
And for you, I'm curious.
I can't agree more with you. For me, it's like transparency and openness. I feel actually proud whenever we are at an interview or we get asked about it. When I say we are transparent, we are open, feel free to share or write your own RFC, but I know I'm not lying to that dev just to attract them and make them join us. I feel proud actually that that's true. And
I definitely resonate with that.
This is one of the things that I love. Like when we published our principal engineers, we made it open source on GitHub. We are even transparent with our tech stack. We have nothing to hide, and I love that.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you very much for listening. And stay tuned for our exciting topics upcoming with our 𝗵𝗺 podcasts. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the podcast for product engineers. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next time.